goes to Cowell's. He's dragged to Cowell's. He doesn't want to surf Cowell's, but he goes there. This girl convinced him to go to Cowell's, and so right, he paddles out. He goes. We paddled among the lank board horde. The shallow water was warm because the sun heated up the sandy bottom. I'd go for a wave, but immediately lose interest. 15 surfers, some SUPers and kayakers were rail to rail, not looking to their left or right and hungrily scrambling for the same wave. The surfers crawled up into a stiff stance and rowed together. I couldn't do it. They believed Stoke was doing what they did best, taking from each other. Whatever they had, I didn't want to catch. I'm a must-ride the whole wave surfer. But if I wanted to catch a wave and keep it to myself, I had to become the worst person I could possibly be. And that's not why I surfed. And out in the water, they talked about everything but surfing, and loudly. They're yakking about bills, politics, taxes, shopping, the economy. Yeah. It was like somebody shook out a Starbucks into the ocean. I'm surprised they didn't put a floating bounce house in the water so they could surf and watch their kids. I struggled to tint the crowd out. And when they did yak about surfing boards, they acted like they knew everything, but knew nothing. And at most, they'd only been surfing a year or two. They never stopped talking because they were trying to convince themselves they belonged there. They didn't. All these miscast people thought they were cool. They weren't. They were fake cool, and they would always be that.
Yeah.
You think this is an AA meeting or something? Somebody's been inhaling the resin. Right. No, that's true. Anyway, so they were trying to convince themselves they belonged, and they didn't. All these miscast people, don't they're cool, they're fake, cool, blah, blah. Just get back to the story, because that's what I was reading when you see. But it's okay. You're fine. Watch the trails.
Come on.
Yeah. Wait for the dead to come back to town.
Totally.
I'm starting to have fun now. That's right. But, okay. But at least I had one meager consolation. I scored Santa Cruz at a special time. Those waves were never going to leave me. And every wave I rode was a continuation of those past rides. That's the eternal fuel that fed my Stoke. With this crowd, Cal was no longer a surf spot. It was a wake. I wasn't surfing. I was grieving. Look out! Yet a 20 useless-year-old girl on a 30-pound longboard, as she came across the next wave and plowed right into me. I dove. When we surfaced, she lashed out. What's wrong with you? Didn't you see me? Saying look out is not a turn. Turning your board is a turn. I slid back up on my stick. You almost took my head off. Do you get in a car if it doesn't have a steering wheel? Learn to turn. It's Cal's. Cal's is a beginner spot and I'm a beginner. So how about beginning to say, I'm sorry, when you hit somebody with your board? When are you going to begin to learn to... She flatly looked at me and goes, you can vent all you want, I don't hear you. I didn't do anything wrong. I just wanted an apology, a simple apology. I didn't do anything wrong, she insisted. She laid down on her board and paddled off, sticking her butt up in the air and swaying her hips. For some stupid reason, almost all women surfers paddle like that. She said to anyone who listened, watch out for the old guy, he's a real jerk. When I paddled in, my hand reached into the water and came up with a red bandana someone must have lost. I glimpsed over my shoulder and sighted an incoming hump forming way outside an indicator, a break 100 yards or so between Cowell's and Steamer Lane. It was a set wave that was easily going to be slightly overhead. Perfect. The other idiots didn't spot it. They could only follow whatever wave the pack paddled for. It was a mob mentality. I put the bandana on the deck of my board. I had an inspired move. I spun around and furiously paddled outside for the incoming set wave. Now I was stoked. By the time the crowd caught on, I was well beyond their reach and dropping into the set wave. But that didn't stop 20 people spinning around on the inside and paddling to drop in and cut in front of me. I was going to prevent that. I was going to prevent the inevitable from happening. I tied the bandana around my head and over my eyes and yelled, I don't see you! I can't see you! A blindfolded surfer streaking on a 35-pound beater longboard in full trim across the face of an overhead wave through a packed crowd even made the clueless morons back down. I didn't even have to see the wave. My local knowledge felt how the wave would break, when to cut back, where to reform. I heard the horde scattering to avoid being run over, splashing, falling, swearing, and yelling. It was fantastic! A couple loose foam boards harmlessly thumped me in the chest. I took the wave all the way to the beach, let my board slide to a stop in the sand, took off my blindfold, casually stepped off it as if proclaiming a new world, completely stoked, and said, "That was bitchin'." I said, "That was just so bitchin'." Awakened with my laughter at all the goons who were flipping me off.